¿Qué pasa, chicos and chiquitas? Welcome to this live episode of the Hot Mic here on the Outlaw Nation, coming to you a little bit earlier in the day, about 2 hours early at 2 o'clock Pacific time, 5 o'clock Eastern time, because one of us is over on the East Coast having a good time with the fam, and the rest of us are holding down the fort here on the West Coast. But we are ready to jump into so much going on in the world of entertainment. I am the Outlaw John Rocha, joined as always by Michael Jordan's #1 fan over there, Jeff Sneider. How are you, Jeff?
Jordan, I don't even know where you're coming up with this stuff, but thank you. Yes, good to be back, Johnny. Good to see you. Although it's freezing here.
It is really. What's the degrees out there in February or in March in Austin?
It was snowing the other day. There's just no end to this. I don't know why I can't just move my whole family to California.
Probably because they don't want to come to California.
All their loved ones and friends and everything are here. But it's like, guys, oh my God, why? Who would choose to live here year round? It's so cold.
And Jeff, we're not fucking leaving. Also, the Celtics are in the playoffs, so are going to be in the playoffs. So they're not going anywhere, man. They got to watch these games for sure. We got so much to get into here. Certainly, we're going to talk. What's up? What?
So much stuff.
So much. Yeah, we got a little James Gunn news to talk about. Certainly, with him announcing in a big duh that he's going to be directing Superman Legacy, but also Ben Affleck. There was a new article that dropped today on THR. I think the reporter Rebecca Keegan is the one who did the interview with him. Fantastic article there to read on Ben Affleck, and some new tidbits about Justice League, some new tidbits about the upcoming Air film, and his experiences overall, and kind of fascinating about this new company he's put together. Again, I'll say this to everybody who's been watching the shows. I apologize. Last 4 or 5 days, I've had some really tightness going on in my vocal cords, so I'm going to do my best here to kind of soldier through and carry on the show here. But yeah, we're going to get into that. Jeff's got a bunch of scoops and rumors to jump into. We're certainly going to battle about the Oscars a little bit and talk about Tarantino's announcement of his final, well, not announcement, but certainly the news broken by Boris Kidd over there about Tarantino's final film being based possibly on the life of Pauline Kael as a movie critic. So interesting stuff to get into, Jeff, for sure. Real quick, just want to let you all know the Streamlabs, the Super Chats are open. So start sending in your stuff. We got something from Fred Tastic already we'll get to. Francisco Lopez just dropped something now. So start sending in your stuff. You know we go fast through the show. So if you want your stuff answered, you want to be getting it in as quick as possible. So, Jeff, I want to start with the James Gunn thing, or do you want to start with your rumors and scoops?
We can start with James Gunn. We can get into the rumors and stuff. There's so many.
Okay, good.
Let's go.
Let's wet the whistle first with James Gunn here. All right, so it came out that James Gunn announced on Twitter that he will be directing Superman Legacy. This is only weeks after he'd done the presentation and talked about how he'd been working on this for like 6 months, this script. So well before he was officially named with Peter Safran to take over DC. But this was met with pretty much a collective duh for most of the people on the inside. And from the people on the outside, it was more some mixture of fear that he would bring the Peacemaker vibe to Superman, and other people with a lot more hope and inspiration that he's going to do a great job with Superman Legacy. So what were your thoughts other than the big duh when you heard this news here come down from James Gunn?
I mean, thoughts other than the big duh? I think that was really the only thought that I had.
Okay. All right.
I mean, like we said all along, we questioned why was it Peter Safran? Like, why is Peter Safran taking over DC with James Gunn? It's not like it's Kevin and someone else at Marvel, but obviously it was because they needed someone to mind the store and run the operation while James is off directing.
Yes.
And also, I mean, who was actually going to imagine him like finally getting this dream job, and now you're the head of DC, and I'm going to give this movie to somebody else? Like, that was never going to happen. It was obvious during the presentation for the press when he talked, he told that story about his father.
Yes.
James was 11. He had some behavioral issues and things like that his parents took him to a therapist, and the therapist really recommended to his father, try to meet this kid on his level and take some interest in his interests. And so his father started reading comic books, and that led James down this path. So I think this was an inevitability. It's exciting nonetheless. I'm not worried about him bringing the Peacemaker tone or anything. This is a totally different property. The more interesting stuff was the Affleck stuff that came out in the interview today. But I'll let you set all that up, Johnny.
Yeah, Affleck was interviewed. Yeah, so yeah, I agree with Jeff. Big duh, no problem. And I also think he's going to direct a Superman that is, I think, going to be very much in the vein of the Richard Donner Superman. I think he's made that clear in his comments, and people worried that he's going to have fart jokes in Superman. You're just being obtuse. Stop being obtuse. Did you see Jordan Peele directing one of the greatest horror films ever made coming out of Key and Peele? You fucking didn't. And that's how it works. Artists are much more multifaceted than you think and have the ability to adjust their talent to fit the subject matter of the thing they are creating. So James Gunn has created some phenomenal, emotional, moving, touching, lighthearted, funny, tender, middle of the road moments as well throughout his movies. There's no doubt he's going to bring that to bear here with Superman. Will there be some moments of humor? Sure, a little smirks or whatever, possibly. But overall, it's going to be honoring that Norman Rockwellian version of Superman that I think people are desperate to see from the Donner camp for sure. But yes, the Ben Affleck interview happened today on THR. If you guys haven't read it, it's really extensive and fantastic, talking about it, the new production companies put together and Air, but also talking about his experiences with Justice League and getting into the possibility of what happened there and of directing for DC. And so I'll get to the Justice League stuff in just a second, but first, because we just talked about James Gunn, this is his quote. So he was asked by Rebecca Keegan there. So if DC came to you now and said, do you want to direct something? Ben Affleck said, quote, I would not direct something for the James Gunn DC. Absolutely not. I have nothing against James Gunn. Nice guy. Sure, he's going to do a great job. I just wouldn't want to go in and direct in the way they're doing that. I'm not interested in that. And you connect this to the other quotes he made about Justice League working for Joss Whedon. And he talks about how absolutely exhausting that whole experience was, the issues going on behind the scenes. And it got so bad after the Joss Whedon situation that he said he was sitting in a hotel room and he thought either I jump out the window or I find some way to power through this. And this is when he started drinking and getting into the issues with drinking. So a lot is tied into this. But he says that coming back to do the Flash movie was the first time he really understood the character. The 5 minutes that he's in the Flash movie is, in his mind, the best version of Batman that he's ever done. So something to look forward to. But Jeff, James Gunn seemed to allude to the fact that Ben Affleck was certainly in consideration for directing a movie down the road. Was that all bullshit and PR speak? And Ben is now telling the truth?
I don't really think it's like a who's telling the truth and who's lying situation.
Okay.
I'm sure that, things change as well. I mean, maybe Ben got some feedback on Air and was like, all right, I want to stick with this. What our column said 2 weeks ago or whatever from Jamie, which is that, if he should be making movies like that. That's what we want. We want more of those movies. We want more of those movies from him. They're his strength.
Yeah.
So I just don't know why we'd want to lose him to the DCU. However, do his comments, do they leave the door open for an Elseworlds title? When he says, I don't want to be a part of James Gunn's DC, is that the larger DC universe that he's doing? Like, is Matt Reeves' Batman part of James Gunn's DC?
Excellent point.
Yeah. So, it wouldn't shock me if Ben Affleck ended up making a superhero movie down the line or whatever. Right. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be one of these 5 or 6 movies that James Gunn has announced as, part of chapter 1.
Yeah. Well, the other part of this, if you read even more about the production companies put together, Jeff, I don't know many production companies that we're willing to do a superhero film where everybody shares some of the budget costs for the film. And then if the film goes over, then you're suddenly making way less, but you might make way more if the film does well.
That's his model at Artist Equity.
That's what I'm saying. If they're going to work with him, I wonder if they'll have to put it through the Artist Equity, or will it be separate and he'll just be a director for hire in those situations?
No, Artist Equity wouldn't be producing any DC movies. They're not going to be using outside producers for the most part on the DC movies. Did Ben Affleck's comments leave the door open to him starring in a DC movie? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Could he be in The Authority? Yeah, sure.
Right.
But it was the directing thing, and I think a lot. It does take a lot out of people, and when he is, again, all these filmmakers, whoever they bring in, they're going to be able to bring something of themselves to the table, but they all are still trying to fit within James Gunn's creative vision, and that is, I do worry a little bit about maybe the kinds of directors who want to play that kind of ball and serve his vision. But that is what it is. That's the choice that David Zaslav made.
I also think that Ben is at that stage now as a director. Like, I'm going to choose to do things I want to do. And he made that clear in the interview. Like, they offered him something in Bulgaria. And I was like, Bulgaria? I'm not doing something in Bulgaria. So he's much more concerned with being around for his kids, being around for his family. He seems like I loved this interview. I fell in love with him even more as a person. And it's
Man,
yeah. And usually, like these puff interviews, I've bitched them out and set them on fire in past episodes. But there's an authenticity to Ben's conversations with this stuff. It's an intelligent dude. He looks at it completely differently. He's experienced. This isn't the 25-year-old punk kid who wrote Good Will Hunting. This is a man who's been through divorces, drinking issues, high public breakups with Anna de Armas, kids, and now the J-Lo situation, and then boom, finding his way all the way back around full circle with J-Lo. And he seems happy.
People have turned this guy into a fucking meme, and it's sad because what it is just all those moments, whether he's outside, smoking or at the Grammys having a bad time or whatever it is, it's just human. Like, this is a guy who's fucking human.
Yeah.
And that's why I like him, and I've always liked him.
Yeah. It's a Boston boy.
And I've heard, like I said, great things about Air. They're obviously screening it at the tail end of South by Southwest. I know. I mean, it sounds like, it sounds really, really good. I wouldn't be shocked if that ended up a Best Picture nominee next
We're
year.
not far away. I mean, it's dropping in April, the first week of April. So although they are getting it 2 weeks early, we don't have to wait that long to see what the end result's going to be of this film. But what do you think, before we wrap up on the Ben Affleck thing, what do you think about his comments about working with Justice League? He said that was the worst experience I've ever seen in a business, which is full of some shitty experiences. It broke my heart. There was an idea of someone like Joss Whedon coming in, like, I'll rescue you and we'll do 60 days of shooting and I'll write a whole thing around what you have. I've got the secret. And it wasn't the secret. That was hard. And I started to drink too much. I was back at the hotel in London. He was either that or jump out the window. What do you think about his comments here? Is there anything new here?
I think it's important to remember it's not like Justice League drove him to drink. Like, it was such a cool experience that he picked up the bottle. He was a drunk, right?
Yes.
And so maybe that colored his experience on Justice League. I wouldn't be surprised if that was also the case. I mean, obviously Justice League was a chaotic shoot. He referenced the personal tragedy that happened in the middle of it. You're talking about directors switching, and it was just it was a chaotic shoot. And that's why when people jump down my throat about there's chaos on on the Marvels or whatever, listen, there's so much chaos on so many movies. If you only knew, I could list 10 movies off the top of my head right now, movies that are coming out, right, that I've heard a nightmare behind the scenes.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I'm starting to kind of slowly make this turn. Not everything is sexist. Not everything is racist. Yes, I'm saying that. Not everything is about, it's about ego. These people have egos, and not many of them are actually doing therapy. They may go to therapy. They're not doing therapy. They're two different things. A lot of actors are caught up in this idea. If I do therapy, I'll destroy the thing that has made me great. So there's all these things that are running around. So egos are involved. People's careers are involved. Look, Ben says it in the interview. It was such a sea change to stop being this actor who was living not wanting to turn down jobs, living hand to mouth, afraid that the phone wasn't going to ring. That's what drives a lot of the ego, is this fear that it's going to fail. And if it fails, I'll be back to doing independent films, making less money. There's a status level. So there's going to be egos. So people going crazy about it just drove me nuts last week. Yeah.
Fear drives the whole industry.
Yes.
But anyways, looking forward to what's next from Ben Affleck and that's good. Didn't he line up another project recently?
I don't know if he mentions it on the interview, but I'm sure he has. I mean, he's Ben Affleck.
It just hit. It just hit. It was the Jennifer Lopez thing.
Right.
No. The dish just did it.
Okay.
Did it.
One more thing. I love his conversation about Air. Go ahead.
It's the wrestler movie. They're doing a movie about a one-legged wrestler, a one-armed wrestler, and Jennifer Lopez is going to star in it. I don't know if she'll be the mother or the coach or whatever. But it's she's now putting her professional reputation right on the line to work with her husband. There's something kind of beautiful about that.
Yeah, I think it's great. Well, look, come on, let's be real. Isn't like J-Lo's been burning up the box office. Get fucking real. Come on now. Her films aren't that strong. They're not that great.
Hustlers was a big hit that she.
But Hustlers was not her movie, bro. That was a great director who knew how to use these fantastic actors All
But it
these
was
other
a hit
J-Lo
because of her.
vehicles are crash and burns, man.
It's a hit because of her. That's why people went to go see Hustlers. They didn't go to see the star of that movie. I don't even remember her name from Fresh Off the Boat, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, they went to see J-Lo. Shotgun Wedding. That was a hit for Amazon. I feel
That
like
was what? Okay. All right.
What do you mean? What? Okay, you don't have to like the movie, and that's fine.
How
but
do you know it was a hit if they never released streaming numbers, Jeff? How do you know it was a hit?
Okay.
I'm just saying, I'm throwing it out there. I just don't. I mean, how can you say that verifiably? But
I
a lot of her vehicles.
verifiably, I can say it anecdotally. I know a lot of people who watch Shotgun Wedding, and it's exactly the sort of movie that they subscribe to Amazon Prime for. They're not subscribing for fucking Mike Lee's Peterloo and fucking Jim Jarmusch's Patterson. They're subscribing for fucking big star movies like Shotgun Wedding starring Jennifer Lopez.
I subscribe for Three Pines with Alfred Molina. That's what I subscribe for. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. Absolutely. But no, but her films have not done well. So I think this is more a matter of like, okay, let's get her back into the rhythm here. So we'll see. Well, look, she's a superstar and a social media genius, and she's made money and all of this. God love her, but it's not like her films are like these incredible films that, you know, that are burned up the box office for decades. So, and
some they do release streaming numbers, but I will say, Princess Positive, I don't trust any streaming numbers that come out from third-party services.
Yeah, Ben Affleck literally says it in this interview that he has not received streaming numbers himself when he tried to find out.
Third-party services are all just competing to, I mean, I feel like it's bogus. They have to exist, and so they throw something out.
Yeah. Well, like I said, third-party services, third-hand knowledge. I don't know if I put much faith in that. All right, let's take a quick break, man, and we're gonna jump into some of those rumors of yours, Jeff, and scoops.
Okay.
Big time right after this. All right, Jeff, let's get into it. We got 266 people watching right now. Scoops and rumors for you. Hit a like and subscribe to the channel right now. Go ahead, Jeff.
Should have 1,000 people watching by the end of this. Okay, so first of all, there's going to be like a 30-minute Marvel segment of this episode. Yeah, I kind of have a hard out, but I have a lot of Marvel shit to discuss.
Okay.
But we want to start with this one, which is the biggest property in the land these days.
Okay.
And that's Avatar.
Ooh.
So months ago, if you recall, I put out a rumor about James Cameron for Avatar 3 having a 9-hour cut.
Yes, you did say
that. Of Avatar 3 that he wanted to finish the visual effects for.
Yeah.
Here's the rumor that I got today.
Okay.
Could change. But when I put that rumor out there, a lot of people were like, why would the studio pay for that? Why would he insist on doing visual effects if then he's going to cut the movie? Like, why would you pay for those finished effects? The idea is that Cameron would do all the visual effects for his 9-hour cut of Avatar 3 and then release it on Disney Plus as a limited series after the theatrical cut is released.
Wow.
Could you see that?
I could see that, and I'll tell you why. We were just talking about it. Zack Snyder's Justice League did so well after that Joss Whedon Frankenstein thing came out, and even Affleck says it in the interview, it's his highest rated film on IMDb, and it went to it. So to him, it's a success. And so you look at this, and that was 4 parts. That was 4 hours. So I think that makes a lot of sense. People binge stuff if you present it to them in episodic format. They don't see it as a 10-hour movie. They see it as 10 episodes. So mentally, they're okay with it. So it would be great and genius, and another example of forward thinking, rather, by James Cameron to do an accompanying 9-hour cut to the original cut for people to enjoy and make money off of. So it makes all the sense in the world for Cameron to do that.
It does. And I think it's actually a great link that you put out there with the Justice League stuff. Zack Snyder pitching them, like, how'd you guys like 4 hours of content or whatever,
right.
When you have to pay to, for the entire 4 hours, right? Because we're taking stuff that we already had.
Right.
So this would just be another thing, in addition to, here's Avatar 3, the theatrical cut, it's coming to Disney Plus, 4 months after release. Here's another thing that they can offer their subscribers. And maybe if I haven't. I think I saw Avatar once. I don't know if I saw the first one a second time. I'm only gonna see the second one once. These are kind of movies that you kind of just see. I mean, I would just kind of see once. But if you're telling me that there's something new that was left on the cutting room floor, that gives me incentive to tune into this limited series. What do you think, Jim?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love. I mean, look, both these films have made over $2 billion. So why wouldn't you expand the scope of it? Make it exclusive for this streaming service. That's a way to get numbers. People want to see this extra content. And look, people say, oh, I don't want to watch it at home. TVs are affordable nowadays. These well-made TVs are affordable. These sound systems, it's $200 for a sound bar, a good sound bar. So you can have somewhat of a replicated theater experience in your house in a way that we couldn't 10 to 15 years ago. So it makes all the plus you can watch it in 4K now on some of the streaming services. So to me, it makes all the sense in the world to offer more content. And don't be surprised if this is James's way of testing the waters to create spin-offs from the Avatar series that would be just on Disney Plus or whatever. Right. And the theatricals would be something else, just like DC and Marvel.
Which you have to know is coming, right?
Yes.
With Marvel spin-offs and the Star Wars spin-offs and stuff. It's inevitability that there's going to be Avatar spin-off series.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe this is a way of testing those waters. Yeah. It definitely, again, this came from a good source who's been pretty accurate in the past. Again, whether this shakes out or not, we'll see. But I trusted him enough to put it out there.
Yeah, definitely.
Another thing that I'm told is going to be announced imminently.
Oh, okay.
I heard that David Robert Mitchell,
okay,
all right, the director of It Follows and Under the Silver Lake, is making an 80s dinosaur movie for Bad Robot and Warner Brothers with Anne Hathaway set to star.
Okay. Now I'm gonna caution you. This is not a Marvel story, but okay, we'll let this go.
No, that's not a Marvel story.
Okay,
no,
go ahead. Yeah.
Before we get to Marvel's gonna be its own thing, but I got to get.
Okay. First. All right. Go ahead. So, all right. Interesting. I like that. I mean, she did that kaiju film, right? You said Anne Hathaway, right? Isn't that what you said?
Yes,
so she did Colossal. Colossal was a very interesting, fun film. So to see her kind of get involved with something prehistoric, you got my interest. You got my curiosity piqued for sure.
What do you think of the dinosaur thing though? Because obviously we just had 65 hit theater last week, and I saw it, and it wasn't great. It wasn't horrible, but it just like sat there. But I did read Beck and Woods' interview with THR, and they walked him through the pitch. Mm-hmm. And how they'd go to studios and be like, why are you guys letting Steven Spielberg have all the fun with these dinosaurs? Like, why don't you try to, we have a zillion alien movies. It's not like let Ridley Scott do the alien stuff. So, what do you think? Is there an appetite for dinosaur stories outside of the Jurassic franchise? And could Bad Robot Anne Hathaway be the right person for it?
I don't think there is. And I don't think Anne Hathaway is the one that's going to get people going to get butts in seats. I don't think anymore. I think there was a period of time where Anne could lead this big franchise type film and people got to go see it. But I think now, not so much. So I'd be very curious. Look, Adam Driver, you could argue, is like a big star right now, having been in Star Wars, having been all this stuff, all these franchises, and he couldn't put butts in seats. $10 million for an opening. So you look at this situation. What is Anne Hathaway going to do that Adam Driver couldn't do? So
I feel like it's tough to judge 65 because it was such I thought the marketing was bad. They had to play.
Well, not screening it was bad, dude.
They were like torn though between like this is a dinosaur movie and then keeping the mystery and surprise element,
right?
And I think it ultimately hurt them. Basically they even talked about in the interview, like they were trying to go for that Cloverfield model, but you can't really do that, especially when you don't have someone like J.J. Abrams' name on it.
Look, I think Anne Hathaway's a damn good. I loved her a damn good actress. I loved her in We Crashed, which we covered on HGA. But Armageddon Time, nobody went to see Armageddon Time. People didn't like The Witches. Who saw Dark Waters? The Hustle was a crash and burn with her and Rebel Wilson. Ocean's 8, but she's sharing the screen with a bunch of other and it's more Kate Blanchett and Sandra Bullock leading that one. So Colossal's 2016. That's the next time you hit something where she might, and then Interstellar, which is really not her movie. That's McConaughey's movie. So these are the things that I don't know where the proven track record is to hand Anne Hathaway the lead of a franchise film. I think you could go in a smaller budget direction and have a smaller approach to it, which
well, it may be because David Robert Mitchell, I mean, his last movie was barely releasable.
Yeah.
So maybe this is a little scrappy, Cloverfield type of thing.
I'm down for that. I think she'd be great in a Cloverfield type movie. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, again, 80s, I don't know if that, points toward a certain aesthetic or whatever, but Zaslav's trying to keep these budgets down. I mean, if he's got $200 million to spend, it's going to go to a DC movie or bringing back Daniel Radcliffe as Harry Potter. It's not necessarily going to go to, something that doesn't have IP. So, I don't know what the scope or scale of this is going to be. I imagine that we'll hear more details soon from the trades, but yes, David Robert Mitchell, I think, has found his new project, which is exciting in and of itself, leaving the Anne Hathaway element out.
Right on. And it wasn't like It Follows it was divisive. I've seen quite a few horror fans hate It Follows and love It Follows. So, we'll see what his third movie does here. All right, what's the next thing?
I wanted to follow up on the PTA stuff. I know we've been
PTA
stuff the last couple of weeks. It was Leo, Regina Hall. We've thrown out Joaquin. Now I've heard another major name. So I don't know if this would be in addition to those guys, or maybe this guy is in place of Joaquin, because when I read the description for that novel, I can't really picture Joaquin as like a federal agent or whatever. Right. But I heard Viggo Mortensen being eyed for the PTA movie. And I also heard that PTA was talking to the Australian actress Rachel Taylor. Do you remember her? Wasn't she in like a Transformers movie?
Yes, she was. She was in the first one. Yeah. She was the blonde computer expert. Yeah. I like her. She's a good actress. Yeah.
She's obviously beautiful, and you can't just throw Margot Robbie or Samara Weaving in everything. I think she has a very similar kind of look. She's may not be on Margot Robbie's star level or whatever, but has Transformers under her belt. You could see her maybe being some kind of a love interest, maybe for Leo, maybe somebody else. I don't know.
According to her IMDb, she hasn't done anything since Jessica Jones in 2019. So
it's been a little while.
It's been a bit. Maybe she took some time off, wanted to hang out, and maybe this is a way to bring her back. Yeah, I'm down. I like this combination.
Okay, so that's what I've got. Let me just see if there's anything else. Yes. Okay, a follow-up. Wait, there are other follow-ups. Okay. Remember Beetlejuice 2 that we talked about last week with Jenna?
You said it's happening.
Right. All the trades followed on that and everything. Yeah. I'd also said that there was an older action star, right? Who was playing a role as a ghost.
Yes.
I've heard that might be Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh, my God. What a perfect choice. Never in my life did I think Tim Burton and Jean-Claude Van Damme would be working on a film together. But God damn it, I didn't know I needed it till I heard you say it. And I'm down with it. This would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be cool. Johnny, what else did I put?
Who would he play though? I mean, what would he
play? A ghost. He'd play like a ghost.
A French ghost? A Belgian ghost?
I don't know, man. And then I heard another rumor, again, before we get to the Marvel stuff. Someone told me that Paramount was going to wind down all the Star Trek shows.
Ooh, what?
And that they were going to focus on doing limited series going forward. I can't keep track of the Star Trek shows.
Okay.
It feels like there's so many, but does that make sense to you?
I think if we're looking at what's been happening over the last few weeks, you can make it make sense. They announced the end of Discovery with this most recent season 5 when it's coming out. It's the last season. They've essentially hinted that this Picard season is the last season. If not flat out come out and said it. Strange New Worlds was certainly a hit, but they might have maybe 1 more season, 2 more seasons with that. And then after that, it's the animated stuff, Prodigy and Lower Deck. So I don't know what they're going to do with that in the long run. So they could shut down production on the animation thing, no problem. I'm sure it doesn't cost them that much to make those series. So it would make sense. But then you're like, well, what's next? Are they kind of, we talked about this a few weeks ago. Are they going to recast Star Trek and start all over again with new Kirks, new Spocks, new McCoys?
Let's see how Dungeons and Dragons opens this weekend, or not this weekend, but in a couple of weeks for them.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is, like, this is how I look at it. I went and saw all 3 of those Star Trek movies, right? Mm-hmm. I haven't seen a Star Trek show. And I wouldn't like they could put anybody. I would not watching any of these Star Trek.
Yeah, it's not your thing, Star Trek. Yeah,
right. It's not my thing. However, if you have this viewer who's willing to watch Star Trek over here, but not watch it over here, is the compromise. It's sort of the way to get. If we don't want to do any theatrical movies anymore, is the compromise to do a limited series.
It makes it more
bring back the Chris Pine folks for a limited series, and then you're getting more hours, of content. Again, I don't know what will happen. I think that they should recast, but doing the limited series route would get someone like me to watch it, even though it's not on the big screen.
Yeah, it's fascinating because I think it would, because it becomes appointment viewing. It becomes like something that's exclusive and interesting and limited. It's like a club or the McRib. It's only here for a limited time. I got to have as much of it as possible. So it makes sense to play it that way and see what the interest is. Are you going to recast? Are you going to bring the old cast back and see what you can do with it? But yeah, I think that's the way. Plus, it keeps costs down. And that's another way to approach it as well. So you turn it into more of an exclusive event. I think people are going to watch. But that's fascinating because Star Trek had been kind of the linchpin for Paramount Plus. So what takes its place? It's a big franchise.
I don't know. I do not know.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I think we can transition to the Marvel stuff.
All right. We got a bunch of Streamlabs Superchats coming. We'll get to all of them after the Marvel news. But real quick, Chris Breezy wants to know, have you heard any new names that might be attached to Damon Lindelof's Star Wars? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. I just want to clear that up. All right. Let's get it on.
I'm just figuring out where to start here.
Right, the time go down.
Okay. Well, last week, right after the show, somebody reached out and said that they had some information on some specials.
Wow.
I think there's going to be more Werewolf by Night type of specials. They told me that there's a Mephisto special shooting right now on the set of Agatha with Sacha Baron Cohen.
With Sacha Baron Cohen as Mephisto?
Yeah, that's been out there, that he's been rumored to be Mephisto.
Okay.
But it sounds like they may be doing his very own special.
Wow. So he's going to be part of the series, but they're going to do a separate special with him. Is that what you're hearing?
That they announced him as part of that series, right? I mean, yes, I think that is right.
Okay. All right.
So there was that.
I like that because a lot of people have been waiting for Mephisto to show up. A lot of people were guessing Mephisto was a part of this, and Mephisto is a part of the story of the kids attached to WandaVision. So it makes sense to have him be part of the Agatha situation for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No. So there was that. Then someone told me that back when Chapek was still around, so this was again November.
Yeah.
4 or 5 months old. They'd heard that Silver Surfer was going to have a special presentation.
Right. Oh. Right. Okay.
And that the silver, because remember last week I mentioned that Waldron, not Waldron.
Shackman, Matt Shackman, yeah.
Right, Matt Shackman, Jesus Christ. Matt, Michael, all these people are the same to me. Matt Shackman may have signed some sort of deal, and that could have him involved in a Silver Surfer special or series or whatever. Anyways, I hear it could be a special presentation that would release before the Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. So to kind of wet the whistle?
Right, to set up the Fantastic Four a little bit. That, again, is a rumor, and it's an old rumor.
Okay.
So I don't know about that one.
Okay. Have you heard anything about casting yet on Fantastic Four? Have you heard any hints that you might think are credible yet?
No, but
okay.
I mean, if they are really going with Jewish for the thing, I do think Seth Rogen would be pretty good. I'd also, and the other things, and someone just said, I wouldn't be shocked if this was or whatever. Remember like that Chris Evans, like secret Marvel project?
Yeah, that had been rumored. And there were a lot of people thinking he was going to come back as Captain America or maybe reprise doing the torch.
Right. I feel like that's going to be another special too.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know if that'll be like a full blown movie or a special. It's tough to gauge these things at this point. Okay, there's other stuff. I heard that Ryan Coogler and Marvel were working on an animated Wakanda series.
Okay.
Called The Golden City.
Interesting. All right.
Because there's been talk of a Wakanda series, right?
Yeah, the Dora Milaje. Yeah.
Really, like nothing's come of that yet, right?
Not yet. Not really, no.
I think an animated series set in Wakanda makes sense to me.
Well, the Golden City is set in Wakanda. It's also known as Zana, is the capital city of the Kingdom of Wakanda. So would that be something that's more like political intrigue? Would this be more Lupita Nyong'o and that whole point?
I don't know. I don't have any details. It was just,
okay.
someone mentioned that.
Okay.
And then just to back up to, to last week's stuff, like, with the Marvels stuff.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, Jeff is this, he's that, he hates Brie Larson. I don't hate Brie Larson. I like Brie Larson just fine.
Jeff, why do you hate women? What's wrong with you?
I hate all women. It's like, I'm just telling you guys what I'm hearing. And I've heard plenty of nightmare stories about men and male directors. It's just like, okay, I didn't hear it this week. It happened to be Patty Jenkins and then, Brie Larson back to back. But believe me, the list of men, causing problems behind the scenes is far longer.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Oh, yeah.
With the Brie Larson thing specifically, we have to talk about the thing.
All right. You bring it up. I don't want to,
bring it up only because it was.
You stayed out of the comment section. I had to take all the heat. So I'm staying out of the comment section this time.
It was a perfect illustration of what I was getting at. And this is not something that is new to Captain Marvel either. I've been hearing things for years. But it was that Baz Bamming boy who's at Deadline.
Yeah.
Approached Idris Elba at some event or whatever, right? And asked him for a photo. And Brie Larson was like, no. Why don't you ask yourself if you really need it? And he said he felt a little peeved, but he, realized that she was right. But the point is like, even if she is right.
Yeah.
You can't let this guy have a fucking photo, or at least allow Idris Elba to speak for himself and turn him down if that's what he wants. Like, this is one black man asking another black man for a photo and the white woman saying no.
Yeah.
Think about why you really want it. Do you need it? It just encapsulated to me like Brie Larson overstepping, right, interjecting, and just it's not her place.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was a very funny story coming a few days after what I said the last time.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Yeah, because it's such a terrible move by her to do that kind of stuff. Look, what's happening between two people is not your fucking business. Especially if it's two black people. Like, what the fuck do you think you're Karening your way into that situation? I would love a white woman to get in between me and Pedro Pascal, me trying to get a picture with Pedro Pascal. Please do that. Please try to do that and see what you get from me. You got to let people. Idris Elba is a really nice guy, and he's got, there's nothing negative. No one ever says anything negative about Idris. So if he was willing to do the picture, and sometimes in those moments, like, I get what Bree's maybe trying to do is protect her friend. Maybe a lot of people have been trying to take pictures with him, whatever. But the other side of it is you never know how this particular actor has inspired or moved this particular person, especially because there are not a lot of roles for African-American actors, not a lot of status for African-Americans, not a lot of African-American actors get to that high-end status. So maybe this is an inspiration to you. So you want to take a picture with that person because you want to preserve this moment. It's something special. And so for her to jump in and get in the middle of it, I think was so ridiculous. And, some of these actors, some of these performers think that they give people a living by doing the things that they're doing and covering them. It's like, nah, man, it's a symbiotic relationship. If no one covered you, no one would come watch your shit. That's how it works. You got to find the balance. So
listen, if media is being invited to an event, then the powers that be offered that invitation, and everyone else came knowing full well the media would be there.
Yeah, right.
So it's like you got to let us do our jobs. I don't know the context of Baz or asking for that photo or what the event itself even was, what the feel in the room was. But I'm trying to make a mountain out of a molehill. It was really just this little anecdote that I read on Deadline was like it perfectly encapsulated everything that I'd said last week. The other stuff that I heard to follow up from last week's report, someone reached out to say that Blade, that the production has gotten a little bit better, that things have shaped up. The script, although they said the script is, leaner and meaner, and they cut out the fat, but like I thought the script that I'd heard about was like 87 pages. That there wasn't enough. That they basically shaved it to the bone. I guess what they cut out, I'd heard, was that Blade was gonna like tie in with Eternals and Kit Harington's Black.
Yeah, well, that's at the end of Eternals. That's his voice that you hear. Yeah,
right. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Again, if you guys think I can remember a fucking post scene from fucking Eternals, you're
well. That's why you have me. I'm trying to help.
Exactly. Thank you. So they said, it's good that Black Knight's not really involved in the Blade thing anymore. That they may be recasting a few parts, including maybe the daughter. Or was there like a 14-year-old girl? Like, doesn't he have? They may recast that. I've also heard, since I do normally just talk about bad buzz, and what I hear is not great. And and by the way, I had a tweet, I think, from last October where I said that Renfield was not shaping up to be so hot.
Yeah,
I think that may have been right.
Oh no!
But I've heard good things, great things about
the new trailer. Is great.
Is it?
It's funny. I thought it was funny. I've got more Nicolas Cage.
I've heard not good things.
Oh, damn it. All right.
I've heard Loki is great. And
no
surprise. And that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is great.
Oh, yeah. Do you know who's gonna die? Have you heard who's gonna die? I haven't heard.
No, I wouldn't want to know.
Okay.
Hopefully I've trained my sources to know what I think is newsworthy and what is a spoiler and stuff that I don't even want. There'd also been rumors of maybe some production issues on John Watts' Skeleton Crew, but I don't know. I don't know about that.
Interesting. Okay.
I mean, again, every particular, the more expensive it gets, the more issues you're going to have.
Of course.
So it's really, I just chalk it up to people working. I'm not like, oh, John Watts is suddenly an asshole or something. Like, no. And there was nothing like that on any of these Spider-Man movies. It's just people who reach out and say, oh, yeah, I hear this, I hear that.
I got a little bit of news. I almost texted you about it, but I can't say too much about it except to say that I know who is not the villain in a certain upcoming Marvel movie. And when I found that out, I was very surprised. So I'll just leave it at that. Ralph Fisto says, do you want a Storm of the X-Men news, Jeff? I don't know. I don't know.
I think it's still early days on X-Men.
Yeah.
You're going to see the Fantastic Four cast before that. Someone said Skeleton Crew issues have been reported before. Okay, so
yeah,
maybe that stuff is out there. I don't keep track of every little thing.
Fair enough.
What was there? I think I maybe had a scoops. There were some couple big ones that I'm holding, but the studios have asked me to be nice, so I'm going to give them a little bit more time.
Fine. Do you want to hit some of these Streamlabs and Superchats? Take a break and then hit some of these? Okay.
Let's take a break and then we'll come back and do some questions.
Okay. We'll be right back right after this. All right, Jeff, we got a bunch of Streamlabs Superchats to get to. Let's get to them one by one. Fredtastic says, hey, John and Jeff, I want to ask this question in case I missed the live show. Does DC change their release dates for Aquaman 2 and Blue Beetle if the box office is too low for Shazam 2? Also, knowing Hollywood, are there talks of a sequel to Everything Everywhere All at Once? Thanks, guys. Oh, man, a sequel to that?
I wouldn't want to see. I don't think I'd want to see a sequel. I mean, no, you don't make, unless it's a Godfather, like you don't fucking sequelize Best Picture winners. I mean, that story was told. I'm sure there's other corners of the multiverse to explore and all that, but I can't imagine the Daniels would want to do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to see them do that either. And yeah, we'll see what happens with Shazam 2. I thought the movie was disappointing. I've seen other people like it, so I don't know what the box office is going to be. So be very curious to see what the end result's going to be. And yeah, it might affect Aquaman 2 and Blue Beetle because they haven't confirmed that they're going to continue or not. So yeah.
I don't know about release date change. I don't know about any of that stuff.
Okay. Peter Can't Talk right now says, Jeff, what are the odds Apple just buys up A24? The cynic in me just doesn't see how they can stay independent and small forever. I appreciate you boys.
I mean, those rumors have been around literally, I think, since I was at the tracking board. Like, I don't think. I mean, Apple seems like it's doing fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like, I mean, it just got great reviews for Tetris.
Yes.
Right? At South by. Like there was this idea that Apple was so new 5 years ago, they didn't really know what they were doing and they had to buy a studio with a library and people who knew what they were doing. I don't know if that's necessarily the case anymore. And if I was A24, maybe you want to just sell out at some point, but those guys are all pretty young, the three founders of A24. And they're building something special over there. I mean, they've won how many 2 Best Picture awards in the last 6 years or something,
Yeah,
or 7 years. So, and they're branching into TV. They've got Euphoria and The Idol. So I feel like they're making a ton of money. I don't know why they would want to sell to Apple at this point, but it's possible.
Okay. Lou Heap fan says, I'm optimistic, but James Gunn does have a storytelling style. I've seen most of the movies he made after Slither, and even though budgets have changed, he hasn't significantly. We'll see, I guess. Ben Affleck needs to direct a superhero film for sure. Yeah, I agree with that.
I think if there's another, I know, they put out Mangold for Swamp Thing, right? But there was another director who was mentioned as part of the Brain Trust. Do you remember who I'm talking about?
Was it a female director?
No.
Oh, I don't remember. Who else was in there?
Drew Goddard.
Oh, Drew Goddard, right? Yes.
Wouldn't be shocked if Drew Goddard wound up directing one of these DC movies.
All right.
Maybe The Authority. Who knows?
I could see that. AZ Badfish says, afternoon, gents. In early 2020, it broke that Andy Weir's Project Hail Mary was being adapted by Drew Goddard, with Lord Miller directing and Ryan Gosling starring. It's my favorite sci-fi novel ever, but no news since the shutdowns. Is this project still alive, Jeff?
I think it is, because there was another. All right, Project Artemis, right? No, is Project Hail Mary still alive? It's a good question, because it was an MGM thing, and now DeLuca's at Warner Brothers.
Oh, okay.
Right?
So maybe not alive.
I would imagine it's still a thing, but I just think Gosling's been so busy, right? I mean, he announced that weird Wolfman movie that he was going to do.
Yeah.
There's right, and I have to back up too. I'm sorry.
Well, Andy Weir came out and tweeted this in 2022, April 1st. So was it a joke? Was it a she I don't know. Was it I don't want to tweet it. I don't want to say it now because I thought it might be connected, but it looks like no. Okay. So
well, okay. One thing though, to because we mentioned Gosling, because he's to that project. And listen, they could always recast him and say we're going with Channing Tatum this who may even be a bigger box office draw. Right, with the Gosling stuff. This is legit. These are okay.
Okay.
So the thing about Beetlejuice 2. Okay. I'm going to connect it to Gosling in a second. Watch how I do this.
Okay.
The thing about Beetlejuice 2 that I'd heard last week, and this is from good sources, is that obviously everybody is doing the movie because it's a payday, right?
Right.
But Zaslav wants to keep budgets down, right?
Right.
And you're not just paying, you're not just throwing the money away on Beetlejuice 2.
Yeah.
So, but it's like you got to pay Keaton, you got to pay Ryder, you got to pay Timber, you got to pay all these people, and so they hope that there's enough money left over for Jenna Ortega. That's why we said that she's in Fox. Right. So they are taking a very close look at budgets at Warner Brothers. Beetlejuice 2 is one that doesn't. I was told it to go, but they have to figure out some financial stuff. The other project that is being looked at closely by DeLuca and Pam Abdi right now is that Ocean's 11 prequel.
Oh yeah,
right, with Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling,
the 1950s European one. Yeah, they
may wait until Barbie opens or whatever to see whether they want to proceed with that.
Yeah, it has legs.
But I'm told that is on the bubble, so to speak.
Wow.
It's not a given. It may just end up being a little bit too expensive for what Zaslav wants to pay for the next entry in that franchise.
All right, fair point.
And yet, as Dandelion suggests, Warner Brothers is making a play for that Nancy Meyers package that Netflix walked away from because it was too expensive. And I understand it. $150 million for a rom-com is too expensive. But when you have all those stars, right, you have to buy out their back ends and all that stuff. So I mean, it was a little outrageous, but it wasn't like eye-popping.
Yeah. All right. I am Two Black Ham says, love the show, fellas. In your opinions, who would make a great Lois Lane? Does anyone come to mind? Also, is there any truth to Kathleen Kennedy calling it quits at Lucasfilm later this year? Let's hope all our banks don't fail before these movies release. Yikes. Lois Lane, anybody come to mind for you, Jeff?
No.
I'll tell you right now, if Jennifer Holland wasn't already who she is in Suicide Squad, I have a crazy feeling that James Gunn would have found some way to make her the new Lois Lane. She's sassy, brassy, attractive, interesting, kind of a newer actress. And I think she could handle Lois Lane duties just fine, but she's already locked up doing her thing there for Suicide Squad. So we'll see who they look at. There's a number of young actresses that have come through over the last few years in their 20s or whatever that could really kind of grab this Lois Lane character and have some fun with it. I think there's a lot of women to choose from, to be honest. I mean, Jenna Ortega would be a fantastic Lois Lane, for God's sakes, and she's only 20 years old. So,
yeah,
no,
she would be good. She would be good, Ortega. I think it all depends on Superman, since they need to be a love interest for Superman. That's why I didn't really want to answer the question, because it's like, well, who are we working with here?
Yeah.
Okay. Was there
anything, Kathleen Kennedy? Do you think? Have you heard anything that she's calling it quits later this year? That rumor's been building in the Star Wars social media.
I mean, would it shock me? No, because I don't think that she's done a great job.
Yeah.
But I think that, like she has to get this next iteration of Star Wars movies together.
Okay.
Just like Kevin has to get Fantastic Four and X-Men off the ground, I think, before he can really walk away. But yeah, I could see it.
Okay. All right. Mike McKenzie says The Boys is why I subscribe to Amazon Prime, not J-Lo, Jeff. Oh, there you go. Well, Mike, coming hard at you. Kaiser Dewey, I hope I'm saying that right, says the way of water has no beginning, no end. Our hearts beat in the womb of the world. The sea is your home before your birth and after your death. The sea gives and the sea takes. Water connects all things, life to death, darkness to light. Oh, thank you, Kaiser Dewey. I appreciate that. Sketchcraft says Maricel Pagulayan recently spoke about her experience working on Avatar 1, where James Cameron wanted all 6 hours of the theatrical cuts visual effects completed, but Weta refused. Pagulayan was hired to bring on 12 vendors to finish the film. So certainly not a tendency with the second film. He's been doing it since the first film, wanting to have all the special effects done.
I hadn't heard that. I mean, I guess Cameron is just a completist who's like, I want everything that I shot. I want it to see what it looks like. It's really going to look like, and then I'll make my editorial decisions from there.
Yeah, fair point. People going like, Lois Lane isn't blonde. Look, y'all need to destroy your perceptions of what Lois Lane could look like. We're in 2023. She's not going to look like she did in the 1940s, y'all.
Black Lois Lane could be interesting.
I like a black Lois Lane. I'm down with that. Francisco Lopez says, hey, guys, so what is the thing Zack Snyder teased? Is better be some Rebel Moon news and not him teasing a DC project. He needs to let go and move on. Did you see this?
I have a better chance of directing a DC project than Zack Snyder. Just to be clear. I am the Snyder that you will hear in the announcement from James Gunn before Zack. I have no idea what he teased. I don't pay. Oh, right. It was the thing at the end of April, right?
Yes.
I have no idea what that is.
Yeah. It is full circle. A lot of people are speculating that it is connected to the charity work that he does, which is the SnyderCon. He has a SnyderCon, so it may be that, and we'll get some new Dark Side footage or some new Dark Side stuff for people to see.
New footage of a movie that came out years ago. Who cares?
A lot of people care.
Shane Carruth here. JG from Space says, any word on the next Shane Carruth project? No, that dude's not going to work again.
Shane Carruth? I don't even know who that is.
He's not going to direct anything again.
Okay. Spencer Mill 19 says, hey, fellas, love the show. 2 questions. First, is production on the new Exorcist movie as bad as I've read online? And second, any Barry season 4 predictions? Oh, yeah, we're on the precipice of Barry, Jeff.
Barry trailer looks great. I don't have any predictions.
Barry has to die. That's my prediction. He has to die.
Right,
he has taken too many lives, Jeff. He has to die at some point.
He will. Tony Soprano, Walter White.
He has to die.
Goes right.
Yeah.
As for the first half of that question, no comment. We will revisit that soon.
Spencer also says, whatever happened to Bennett Miller? Directed Moneyball and Foxcatcher back-to-back and nothing since. Yeah, great question.
Beats me, man. I mean, obviously, one of the greats, but I don't know.
Some directors do their thing and then just disappear for a while because they're not inspired to do anything else and kind of explore the things. That's what makes them creatives. And some people and some are like Scorsese, just constantly working, or Woody Allen, to invoke his name, constantly working. And other directors like to take their time. It's just how it works sometimes.
Let me ask you this. Let me flip on you. Could you even make Moneyball and Foxcatcher these days? I don't think you could.
Not for the budget you made it for in those days. No.
No. So it's like maybe it's just the stuff that he wants to do. The studios don't want to do anymore.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
He should go do like a fucking HBO limited series or something.
Sure.
I think that would be cool for him.
I agree with that. Chris Breezy says, have you heard any new names that might be attached? Okay, we already answered that one. Sorry about that. Trash Panda. Jeff, heard any buzz on The Machine? Burt Kreischer let it slip that he has another film in development at Happy Madison. Curious because we haven't had a new comedic lead in years.
I don't really get it. I got to be honest. I love comedians, right? I listen to stand-up comedy every night.
Don't get me wrong. I love comedians. Some of my best friends are comedians.
Yeah.
But
Burt Kreischer, he just doesn't do it for me. Like, I get his whole shtick is like, I'm the shirtless dude who knows how to party and drink and everything. That's not the type of comedian I'm typically watching. I did watch a little bit of his Razzle Dazzle special on Netflix in the background while I was doing some work last week. And the trailer for that movie looks fun. It wouldn't shock me if he had another project in the works at Happy Madison. But do I think this guy's like the new Chris Farley or something? No, I don't. I don't think that he obviously has a wide appeal. Yeah, but I don't really think of him as a movie star.
Yeah, it's like that new Sebastian. Was it Maniscalco? Is that his? I forget. Yeah, the one with De Niro. I'm like, this seems like a sweet, movie about being Italian American nowadays. And we forget about how that can be. But like, it's not going to make a lot of money. People aren't going to go see this thing. So yeah, he's not going to be the new star.
That movie is, he's surrounded by Kim Cattrall and De Niro and all these people. Like The Machine is like Burt Kreischer the movie. So if you don't like Burt Kreischer, you're probably not going to see that movie. I am curious to see how it does. It sounds like it was probably made on the cheap and pretty quickly. So I'm not surprised if it turned a profit. But yeah, he's not my cup of tea. I'm not saying that he sucks. I'm just saying he's not for me.
Yeah. When is someone making Hot Mike the movie? That's what I want to see. My Comic Plan, it says, hey, Rocha, what up to the great Jeff Sneider? Jeff, how does it feel to be trending all the time now on Twitter? LOL. Keep the hot takes coming, bro. There you go. How does it feel, Jeff?
Thanks, guys. I mean, sometimes I wish that we didn't trend. And I was like, keep that to yourself. I don't need the studios knowing that I let that cat out of the bag.
This is the game.
I'm just flattered and grateful that you guys are watching the show. And make sure to credit Johnny Rocha when we play this stuff. This is the Hot Mic with Jeff and John.
Please. Yeah. Fandom Wire credited me randomly on Instagram the other day. I was like, what's this all about? Love Daggerborn says, Jeff, have you heard reason behind Michelle Borth's recast in Shazam 2? Do you know anything about that?
I'm sorry, what? Huh?
Michelle Borth. I think she was the original Mary Marvel. Is that correct?
I have no idea.
Yeah, she was the original Mary Marvel, and then they recast her with someone else to play her in the sequel. And she was not that good in the movie herself. So
I don't want to invoke my pizza line, but you guys know what the pizza line is.
Well, what is that?
I say it every week. This person could come and deliver me a pizza. I wouldn't know who the hell they were.
That's true.
You ring my doorbell right now. I have no idea.
Yeah, Grace Caroline Curry. No offense. They didn't give her much to do, so I can't really judge her. Wiley Todd, thank you, Wiley. Very kind of you to send some stuff in. Always good to see you, brother, man. JG from Space, you already talked about that. Anything next on the Shane Cruz? The thing about Shane
Cruz is he was accused of stalking and terrorizing Amy Simons.
Oh.
Remember? And I respect it. I thought Upstream Color was the worst movie, one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I don't think anybody's really in a rush to give that guy money. Especially if he insists on casting himself in it. Jesus.
What's with the Caruth? Remember Ray Caruth killing his girlfriend and putting her in the fucking trunk of a car and going to jail for 20 years? Caruths, calm it down. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, be wary of any Caruths out there.
That's for sure. David Ebekeme, hope I said that right, David. Zaslav trying to reduce costs / announcing more Potter and LOTR films in boosting the stock up. Do you see Warner Brothers Discovery potentially being sold again in 2024? Oh my God.
No, but you're not wrong, David, in that these are the things that one does to build up a studio for a sale.
Oh no! No.
I think that Warner Brothers could be sold again by the end of the decade. Yes. Oh my God. I do think that it could be sold by 2030. But no, it's not going to happen next year.
Jesus, God, please stop it. John Spiliotopoulos. Thank you, John. Says, love you guys like brothers. Be safe. Appreciate it.
Johnny, I can do 10, 15 more minutes.
All right, well, then let's hit the Tarantino news. It was broken by Boris Kidd on Hollywood Reporter. Quentin Tarantino's next film rumored to be based on Pauline Kael, rumored to be called the movie Critic. It doesn't mean that it's necessarily Pauline Kael as the lead. It may be a Pauline Kael-esque stand-in, but going to be just like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Inglourious Bastards, some real life people who are going to be played by actors circulating around this thing. Do you think this is the way that Tarantino will close the book, by making a film that is a commentary on Hollywood and on film criticism and the divide that's been happening and the arguments you've had as recently as last week that film critics are dying, film criticism is dying, people with opinions are not dying, but film criticism is dying?
And this is a guy who's talked about doing criticism after he makes his last film. He has a book out, Cinema Speculation, which is obviously about criticism. I mean, when I saw this, my eyes just lit up. I mean, you guys know he's my favorite filmmaker. Yeah. And now he's making a movie about us, basically. So that part of it was very exciting. Do I wish that he was making another movie about Hollywood? No, not really. We kind of got a lot of that stuff in the last one. And
arguably the same time period, late 60s, 70s, when Pauline Kael came to prominence, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So I was a little disappointed on that front. I'm looking for just like crazy Tarantino violence and everything. And I don't know if there's an opportunity for violence in this movie. Maybe this is Pauline Kael comes to LA and gets embroiled in a murder mystery or some sort of. I've heard that rumor, maybe like an Italian giallo like sort of thing.
Nice,
but I don't think it's going to be Pauline Kael. I do think it'll be an original character that maybe is infused with Kael-isms, right, and is modeled after her. But Quentin, he's just not the type to write the biopic of so-and-so. He doesn't want to be boxed in creatively. He needs his freedom, and yet he wants it, to be authentic and everything. But he worships her. He reveres her. Which is why I think he would just let her be and let maybe someone else tell the Pauline Kael story the proper way. And this is just going to be a female film critic in the 70s who's facing sexism and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. That's very possible. I like the idea because, for me, it was Siskel and Ebert on TV, but once the name Pauline Kael came into my sphere as a teenager in the early 20s, I devoured her book, her collections that were available in the library, because her ability to analyze a film was fantastic. And I don't want to, how can I say this correctly? I think William Bibbiani has shades of Pauline Kael, because that son of a bitch can make me hate a film I love or love a film I hated. And I appreciate that about William's writing. And I think Pauline Kael, when I was reading her stuff, could make me do that. And I think there are very few critics that are able to logically break through and get you to systematically understand their point and go like, you know what? Okay, I can kind of see that, so I appreciate that with her for sure. Let's see. We got a Streamlabs came through. Doug Developer says, Jeff, when are we finally going to see a teaser for the Borderlands movie? Now that we have Oscar winner Jamie Lee Curtis, who will be teaming up with Oscar winner Cate Blanchett, those two headlining a film will be so delicious. Jeff?
I don't know. Borderlands strikes me as something that if you don't see it in like August, you'll see it in January or February.
Oh, it's going to crash and burn Borderlands.
Yeah, I'm not too high on the Borderlands stuff. I've been hearing talk about troubled productions.
Yeah. Eli Roth is not a good director. David Beckme also saying
they brought in Tim Miller, right, to finish the movie.
Great. I love Tim. I think Tim's a damn good director. Love the show, you guys. Thank you very much, David.
Thank you, David.
Oscars, let's talk about it. Jeff, you put out your snarky little fucking tweets. Let's talk about this shit. Jamie Lee Curtis had no business winning that Best Supporting Actress, the 5th best of the 5 nominees, for God's. Stephanie Hsu did a better job than she did. So Angela Bassett getting some shit because she was rightfully pissed that even a phenomenal performance from her can be beaten by a good performance from another white lady. So you understand the frustration, the anger she might have felt. And people calling her out for being a poor sport. Man, go fuck yourselves. Go fuck yourselves hardcore. None of you been in a position to be in that situation or understand the cultural history that is involved with Black actors, African-American actors, and their mistreatment at times for trying to win some of these awards at Oscar time. So there was a lot that went into that look. And maybe she's earned enough credit for you to get the fuck off your high horse and let her be upset about it. So to me, that was the only negative thing about the Oscars. Oh, and Paul Sorvino being left out of the in memoriam. Those are the two criticisms. But Jeff, overall, I thought the Oscars went really, really well. And I thought Jimmy Kimmel did a nice job hosting it. What were your thoughts?
I agree. And again, I was backstage, so I'm not seeing the full show that everybody else is getting because the winners are constantly coming backstage, and I'm holding the thing to try to get a question in or whatever. So I was watching it and listening to it on an earpiece, but it was a little bit different. I thought Kimmel did a really good job with the monologue. I really liked the jokes, and there were some good ones. You know, he took the gloves off for some without going too hard. I think it was just the right level. As far as the Angela Bassett of it all, I don't think she was a sore loser. She didn't come out and say anything.
No.
Like, to me, the people who were complaining about not getting nominated, and we don't need to go rehash all that again, they were sore losers.
Okay.
You're running to the press offering statements, all this stuff. Angela Bassett, that's a human moment.
Yeah.
Like, just like Affleck stuff. Like, that's like, you just lost an Oscar that most pundits and people had told you was going to be yours. I don't know why you listen to these pundits or people. You just listen to me, I'll tell you. But yeah, like she had this big head for months that she was going to win, and then it was pretty obvious that she wasn't going to win. I mean, Black Panther was not nominated for Best Picture like Everything Everywhere was.
Yeah.
Frankly, I thought Hong Chow and Kerry Condon easily gave the best performances in those categories. Like, okay, Jamie Lee Curtis didn't necessarily deserve it, but neither did Angela Bassett. Come on.
No, you're insane. Of course, she totally fucking deserves it. She ruled that movie. You're insane. But I would have been fine. This isn't a white-black thing. I would have been fine if Kerry Condon won. I thought Kerry Condon was transcendent in Banshees of Inisherin. And if that had been the name they called, I don't think I would have been pissed at all. But Jamie, who I thought was outacted by Stephanie Hsu and what she had to do in that movie, and Hong Chow in The Whale, I was just really surprised that she's the one that they gave it to overall.
It's the movie, but Stephanie Hsu was never going to win. For the same reason that Austin Butler was never going to win an Oscar. Anyone who predicted that is like fucking insane to me. These people just got on the scene. They just got here. I don't care how good Stephanie Hsu was. She's
Anna Paquin won at 9 years old. My God, for the first thing she'd ever done. Come on, it does happen, Jeff. Especially in the supporting categories. For God's sake, come on.
That's a 30-year-old win. The things have changed. Okay.
Are you ready to eat a little crow when you said butt plug movie would not win Best Picture months ago on this program?
I swung all season. In the sense that I thought, the Academy is full of older white men. Older white men are not going to go vote for this movie, and something else is going to sneak in over it due to the preferential ballot. Yeah. Obviously, I was wrong. It's because no other movie presented a real challenge. Not Top Gun, which was still at the end of the day, as great as it was. Yeah. Voters still felt like that's a Top Gun movie. Like, we're not giving this Best Picture.
Yeah.
Fableman's, Banshees of Inisherin, both very good movies. Neither one registered whatsoever with the Academy. Now, am I surprised by that? Yes.
Yeah, a little bit, because they like Martin McDonagh at the Academy. Yeah.
Like, let me ask you this. Does Everything Everywhere, does this deserve to be the most awarded movie in the history of film for above the line Oscars? Because it was. It won 6 of 7 above. There are only 7 above the line Oscars, right?
Yeah.
No, wait, there's 8.
Well, here's what I'll say. I don't think we can make that judgment yet, because we have to see how this film holds up in 10 years from now. And because I think it's going to be a classic, but we got to wait. And I think we have to wait a little bit more.
Fine. Let's wait 10 years and reassess it then. But on it, just like surface level, this movie's on the same level as Network. Network? Really?
Well, you're asking the wrong person.
Network
is dated. Some areas are dated.
There was just no competition. Basically.
Yeah, fair.
Just steamrolled everybody this season.
There wasn't there wasn't a Godzilla to the Kong. There wasn't. You're right. You're 100% right. For whatever reason, it didn't have that. Although I will say this, All Quiet on the Western Front almost got there and got some surprising victories that night, and way more than people maybe anticipated. I was so happy to see that, because that's my favorite film of 2022.
It was great, and they pivoted too late, John.
Yeah.
They had realized what they had. Again, this is a huge Netflix problem.
Yes.
What they do is they give campaigns to the movies that they owe campaigns to. We've got a huge Glass Onion movie with Ryan Johnson. We owe him a campaign.
Yeah.
Who's Edward Berger? What's this international German film? We don't know this. Why are we spending money on this? So that is how it works. Where, you know, and it really, like, it's so frustrating. It's like, so I talked to someone at Netflix because they had Athena this year. Did you see Athena?
No. What was Athena?
Athena is a French film.
Yeah.
Very, very good. You should check it out. I think you'd like it. Easily, like, the best cinematography of the year. Like, easily. But because it was Athena and they don't owe it any campaigns, they didn't campaign it whatsoever. It would have, I'm pretty sure it would have won the Oscar if they had spent $10 million trying to get it that Oscar.
Wow.
It wasn't on anybody's radar. And so it's like just frustrating to me that Netflix, they sit around talking about, oh yeah, we have this great thing.
Yeah.
We don't owe, you know, like all our resources are over here. Well, can you pivot? Can you do you have eyeballs? Do you know what you're looking at?
Yeah.
Put the money in Glass Onion over in this movie and in All Quiet, and maybe you would have done better.
I think that's an excellent point. Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, Glass Onion wasn't gonna, blow up and get it.
You thought it was.
Yeah. That's ridiculous.
They thought it was. I saw it and was like, this fucking doesn't even make sense.
Well, I think it also comes down to the fact that, okay, here's a movie, American actors, they're known, that people know these people, and they look at the German film, it's all foreign. But then, like, look at Parasite. That's what you got to look at. I mean, most mom and pop people in the Midwest didn't know who Bong Joon-ho was, but eventually it got over, and you should have used that campaign for All Quiet on the Western Front. Once you see a fucking incredible movie, as the studio, you have to be like, we got to get behind this. This is artistically one of the most incredible films ever. We got to get behind this. I mean, it's a nice sequel, Glass Onion, but it wasn't, it wasn't breaking any new ground.
It's that Reed Hastings or Ted Sarandos gives the awards consultants, here's 50 or 60 million to spend this season. You tell me where we're going to spend it. And they say, you can't spend it on All Quiet on the Western Front because then you have Ryan Johnson being like, guys, there was no campaign for my movie. Why would I bring you my next one? And that's ultimately what they care about views and those talent relationships. But
that's what an artist needs to have some perspective as well. Like Ryan should have seen All Quiet and be like, yeah, guys, go ahead and promote that one. My film doesn't compare.
Yes.
But it's all about ego.
The movie's not as good as All Quiet. Go ahead and spend it all on that.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid. They should. Oh, well, anyway.
It surprised a lot of people. It came out of nowhere, All Quiet. And it's not going anywhere. I mean, it'll be on Netflix.
I've seen it 3 times. It is fucking incredible, man. It's so good.
We're so good. I was so glad it won.
Love Daggerborn says, if Kevin Spacey gets acquitted, could you see him getting new roles and would you see it? I would not.
I cannot see him getting new roles in anything like of note.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's internationally, they don't give a fuck about any of this stuff.
Nope. They really don't.
They do not give a fuck about Kevin Spacey's allegations in Europe, and he will be able to make European films.
Yep. I mean, because Europe's been around for fucking centuries, man. What we're upset about, they were upset about like 500 years ago or 2,000 years ago.
So yeah, again, congrats to the Everything Everywhere crew. It wasn't my personal favorite. But I listen. Now that it's all over, I can drop the shtick. I liked the movie. I was a fan. I got out of that movie last March. I was a fan.
No. You don't get to. No.
Why do I not get to? They're totally different things.
Because you played the shtick. If you play the shtick, you got to own the shtick all the way to the end.
But it's
just like Robert Downey Jr. I don't break character till do the DVD commentary. You can't break character.
I liked the movie just fine. Do I think that she should have won over Cate Blanchett, which is like one of the all-time great screen performances? No, but she had already won 2, and she didn't want it. Cate Blanchett literally waved the white flag in the middle of this season, and I think it was because the public really wanted Michelle Yeoh to win.
Yeah,
and there became like a backlash against Cate Blanchett for winning all these awards and being so talented. And she was like, you know what? I'm just going to stand back, and if you win, you win.
Plus, she was caught up in the Andrew Riseborough thing. So, like, for her, she probably was like, fuck this shit. I don't need this shit, man. I got to move on. Because, I mean, she's not a woman that chases awards. She knows she's good, and people love her ability. So, yeah. So
she left it up to the voters, but, the voters want to know that you want it badly. And Michelle Yeoh wanted it badly, and so did Jamie Lee Curtis, and that's why they both won.
Fair enough. Let's wrap up by saying this. Jeff, you commented this on your Twitter. A lot of famous people didn't show up to this Oscar ceremony. So it did well. The ratings were 18% higher than last year. The people overall, it's been positive reviews for the award ceremony, but Tom Cruise didn't show up. James Cameron didn't show up. Quite a lot of bigwigs did not show up to this Oscars.
I understand the argument where it's like, well, maybe they didn't show up because they didn't want to take away from the people who were nominated. They didn't want it to be, oh, tonight's about George Clooney and Julia Roberts sitting in the front row, even though they're not nominated for anything. I understand that argument, but specifically for guys like Cameron and Cruise, I don't give a shit if Cameron was throwing a party for his Avatar crew or if Cruise says he was working. When, again, Chris McQuarrie was at the fucking ceremony.
Yeah.
Those guys should have been there. Their movies were up for Best Picture.
Cruise's film was up for Best Picture. He should have been there, Jeff.
Yeah, so was Cameron's.
Yeah, right. Good point.
These guys should have been there, and also to support their collaborators who were nominated. I thought it was a little disrespectful. Cruise is a little bit more excusable than Cameron. Like Cameron's like, what the fuck, James? You can't show up. Cruise, you got to be wary of some of the jokes. I get it. I guess. And that's what happened. You want to crack jokes at fucking Tom Cruise's expense? Go ahead, but he ain't gonna fucking show up, and the ratings will suffer.
Yeah, because Kimmel did make a Scientology reference, and you're like, oh, why are you doing that?
It's a very harmless L. Ron Hubba Hubba thing. I guess that wasn't in the original script. It may have been like off the cuff or whatever.
Yeah, as soon as Tom wasn't gonna show up. All right, real quick, musical performances. Gaga, yes. Did you enjoy it? Rihanna, did you enjoy the Natu stuff? Did you like all the?
They were all good. I did not see the Diane Warren one. I think I was busy.
Oh yeah.
In the middle of that one, but I really like the Rihanna one. Gaga stripped down was good. A little, everyone's like, oh, she's so raw and real and authentic. I'm like, this seems very, planned out.
Stop hating women, Jeff. Stop it.
I like the David Byrne performance too.
That was great, man. So good that with him and Stephanie. That was really, really good. I agree.
Before we go, I mean, any movie what comes out this weekend? Shazam.
Oh yeah, Shazam 2 comes out. Yeah.
Did you like it?
I did not like it. It's not for me, dude. It's not. The first one wasn't 100% for me, and so this one's more of that. And there's too many characters. It's overstuffed. I don't want to see yet another film where the hero questions whether he should be a hero or not. There's nothing new or groundbreaking, and sadly, Zegler, Helen Mirren, and Lucy Liu are wasted in the film because they're kind of drab.
That's all I wanted to know, because I'm not going to see this movie. Did you see either of the movies I recommended to you, though, Sharper or Bruiser?
I haven't seen those yet. No, I will catch up. I was catch up on Oscar stuff.
Did you see the Willem Dafoe movie coming out, Inside?
That looks interesting. I want to see that one. Where he's stuck inside the museum or whatever, or breaking into something, a person's apartment. Is that what it is?
Yeah. And would you watch? Are you going to watch the Luther movie?
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. My Lady Outlaw is a massive Luther fan. I mean, massive. And when she saw the trailer, she's like, I'm not seeing that shit. And I was like, we got to watch it. So I've got a couple of good reviews from other people that I trust. So finally convinced her that we're going to watch it this weekend. So we are going to watch it. Yeah.
But I will say this because I liked Andy Serkis.
You did like it. All right.
Yeah, I mean, it's not great or anything, but I liked Andy Serkis a lot.
We'll have more time with John Wick 4 next week. But let me tell you something. You all are going to fucking love John Wick 4. That's what I'll say. 2 hours and 45 minutes.
I'm not going to be, I don't think I'm going to see it until that Thursday night after the show. Because I got to review it for LA Mag, but, and I'm missing all the screenings, obviously being here in Boston.
Right.
Yeah. I've heard great things.
Yeah.
All right, let's call it. Let's wrap it up.
We're out of here. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us. We appreciate it, Manly. Thanks for all the Streamlabs and the Super Chats. We had well over 500 people joining us for a majority of the things. So thank you all so much for doing that. Please remember to hit a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. You enjoy the Hot Mic, you enjoy the Jedi Way, the Geek Buddies, all the stuff we got going on here. Subscribe to the channel so you can be alerted for when we do all of that stuff here. Jeff, another fun show. Please let people know where they can find you, man.
Above the Line, our sponsor.
Yes.
AboveTheLine.com. You can go over there for a scoop that I dropped 5 minutes before this podcast. Sean Hayter from Coda is directing a movie for Paramount, and they're trying to get Sarah Polley to rewrite the script. So those are actually the last 2 Oscar winners for Best Adapted Screenplay. Check out that story over there. BTLnews.com and then LAMag.com, although I'm off this week.
Oh, right on. All right. There we go. And we signed Jacoby Brissett to be our quarterback, Jeff. We're ready to go.
We're ready.
I can't talk about it. As for me, follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, The Outlaw Nation on Twitch, and my other podcasts that I do here, the Cinephiles and the Geek Buddies. Go and enjoy them as well. And remember, the Hot Mic is its own podcast feed, so you can subscribe to the Hot Mic as well in case you don't want to see any of our pretty faces and just hear our voices. All right, y'all be well. Take care of yourselves. Have a great weekend. And we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode of The Hot Mic. Peace.